town of this size, with such a small population, with the amount of damage that they experience, it's not only physical damage, but the economical and emotional impact that it will have on this town is very well significant.
At least 4 people were killed when a tornado hit Matador near Lubbock. A local man says his street lights are out and have been out for months. He wants them fixed. The U.S. Coast Guard says debris found near the search area for that missing sub with these 5 people on board is from the sub's external body.
And good afternoon, everyone. We'll be talking about the tropics. Here is Brett just about to roll over the Lesser Antilles, but then he falls apart. Heat advisories for us continue for unabated for a couple of days. We'll have all that coming up.
Former Texas Representative Will Hurd has launched his run for the 2024 GOP presidential nomination. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I'm James Munoz. Karina Garcia has the day off. A submersible named Titan initially embarked on its journey to explore the Titanic wreckage with an estimated 96 hours of life support. Now the U.S. Coast Guard says debris near the Titanic is from the sub's external body. 5 people were on board and died following a catastrophic implosion. Questions remain about the 8 hours between when the Titan lost communication with the surface and when its Canadian support vessel reported it missing to the U.S. Coast Guard. The head of the company that co-owns the Titan support ship has refused to discuss the timeline, saying all protocols were followed for the mission.
The U.S. Coast Guard, which has been leading the international effort to find the missing submersible and its 5-person crew, describing the disturbing discovery after days of searching.
An ROV, or remote operated vehicle, from the vessel Horizon Arctic discovered the tail cone of the Titan submersible.
A Canadian remotely operated vehicle spotting a debris field more than 2 miles down in the pitch black and frigid waters near the Titanic wreckage site.
The debris is consistent with the catastrophic loss of the pressure chamber.
On board, billionaire Hamish Harding, businessman Shahzada Dawood and his 19-year-old son Suleiman, Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate, the deep-water tourism company that made the submersible, and Titanic researcher and diver P.H. Nargiolais.
Upon this determination, we immediately notified the families.
Ocean explorer Bob Ballard, who discovered the Titanic shipwreck, says the crew likely tried to save themselves.
If you have a deep submersible, buoyancy is your friend. All you have to do when you're in trouble is get light and you go home. And I'm sure they were attempting to get light and go home, but the hull itself imploded.
OceanGate releasing a statement saying that we grieve the loss of life and that they are deeply grateful to those who took part in the effort to find the Titan crew. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
A small town outside Lubbock is picking up the pieces after a tornado hit last night. At least 4 people were killed. The tornado in Matador came as powerful storms pummeled parts of the western and central U.S. At least 11 tornado reports were made across 4 states. Matador is a town of a few hundred people. The tornado hit around 8 p.m. Wednesday. Crews were digging people out of the rubble following the tornado. At least 7 people who were hurt had to go to hospitals. This destruction and loss of life came less than a week after another deadly tornado hit the panhandle town of Perryton, killing 3 people and leaving more than 100 other people hurt.
We since had 1 that passed away at the hospital, so that brings the total up to 4 that have perished as a result of the storm, and 10 that were transported, but the 1 that had passed. So luckily, being a tight-knit community, everyone knows everyone, and so we were able to account for everyone pretty quickly.
A town of this size, with such a small population, with the amount of damage that they experience, it's not only physical damage, but the economical and emotional impact that it will have on this town is very well significant.
The DPS says people in Matador had just a few minutes to find shelter. A substation was destroyed by the tornado, and today triple-digit heat without power is a big concern for that small town. A train derailed in North Texas during a round of severe storms Wednesday. The derailment happened in the town of Powell, about 9 miles east of Corsicana. Wind speeds of up to 80 miles per hour were reported during the severe weather. Union Pacific says the incident involved one of its trains, and about 26 rail cars derailed at the scene. The train involved was a freight train with double-stacked containers. It's unclear if the containers were empty at the time of the derailment. No one was hurt. A Victoria resident is worried about the safety of his neighbors over the lack of functioning street lights. Brian Cody says the lights have stopped coming on in the evening ever since workers running lines for internet services knocked out the street lights. He says that was in November. 8 months later, he says he's still trying to get answers from the City of Victoria and AEP on when the lights will come back on.
The thing is you're paid by our city to keep our lights maintained. You're paid by our city to power our city. You're paid by our taxpayers to power the city. So turn our lights on.
Says he and his neighbors aren't the only ones left in the dark. There are other neighborhoods and parts of town without functioning streetlights. We reached out to the City of Victoria for a response Wednesday, and we're waiting to hear back from them. An American Electric Power spokesperson says the billing and accounting team, as well as their streetlight representatives, are looking into the issue. Here's your viewer poll this afternoon. Are your city streetlights currently out? Yes or no? We want to know. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to participate. Don Brubaker will have what you and your neighbors are saying on 25 News Now at 6. All right, Mac, you sent out that alert on our social media pages around 9:30, and my alarm started going off close to 10. So
Yep.
Was that rain enough?
No, it's not enough. The thunderstorms last night actually started up in the hill country, up in Kerrville. And then they got going, and it became a freight train that started rolling southward. So about 8 o'clock, we said, oh, it's going to make it to our town. So we started putting out, maybe you got a little rain out at the Riverside Park. Our Cocoa Rise guy came in with 1/10 of an inch. So it was a little huffing and puffing. Helped the temperature today, but as you can see, the sun is out. The clouds will be clearing out tomorrow, and then we're looking for more hot weather. So we'll have all that coming up in a moment.
Thank you so much. In Arizona, authorities are trying to determine what happened to a person whose remains were found in a bonfire pile in the Tonto National Forest.
They just asked if we had seen anything suspicious or out of the ordinary.
Samuel Gordon speaking with us Wednesday, telling us investigators stopped by his campsite, which is just a short distance away from a bonfire pile in the Tonto National Forest, where a body was found June 12th.
I saw a bunch of trucks come out of here after the sheriff rolled out.
The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office now identifying the body as that of 18-year-old Parker League, calling his death malicious. The teen had been reported missing out of Tempe and had left his belongings at a home there, but was originally from Nebraska. This bonfire pile where Parker was found is about a quarter mile away from the entrance gate to Bulldog Canyon. We're told this dirt area is accessible 24/7. Samuel's saying it typically gets busy on the weekends with people coming to hang out. He's one of many in the area who say they're seeing a rise in criminal activity.
Also hearing that there's been a lot of theft around here sort of is a little disturbing, because this is supposed to be the off-road community and everybody's supposed to help each other, not be stealing things and having that sort of stuff going on. J.R. Lagaska has lived in the area for a quarter century, hiking and dirt biking at Bulldog Canyon often.
I mean, it feels like you can't be safe anywhere, you know.
We're told those with motorized vehicles do need a pass from the Forest Service to gain access to the gate, but you can easily walk through, and at night, anything can happen. Unless the moon's out, you can't see 10 feet in front of you. As for the investigation, no arrests have been made, and it's also unclear exactly how the teen died.
Former Congressman Will Hurd has launched a bid for the 2024 GOP presidential nomination. The Texas Republican made the announcement this morning and then released a video. Hurd served in the House of Representatives from 2015 to 2021. He represented a swing district in Texas that covered the largest stretch of the U.S.-Mexico border of any congressional seat. Before joining Congress, he was a CIA officer. A rare Republican critic of Donald Trump, Hurd opposed Trump's border wall, arguing it was less effective than other forms of border security. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today News. Hit the like button and click on the notification bell. Stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. The House has voted to censure Californian Representative Adam Schiff for comments he made years ago. Also ahead, more from a chiropractor on how to ease chronic pain. Party lines to censure Congressman Adam Schiff for his role in an investigation into former President Trump several years ago. The vote 213 to 209, with 6 Republicans voting present. Schiff, just the 25th member of Congress ever censured and just the 3rd in the 21st century. Schiff calling it a badge of honor.
In a rare move, House members voted along party lines to censure Congressman Adam Schiff. Schiff was the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee investigating whether the 2016 Trump campaign had any ties to Russia. The investigation found Russia did interfere in the election, but found no evidence of a criminal conspiracy. Schiff, who also served on the House committee investigating the January 6th attack at the Capitol, spoke to his Republican colleagues on the House floor.
You, who are the authors of a big lie about the last election, must condemn the truth tellers, and I stand proudly before you.
His Democratic colleagues loudly chanting as House Speaker Kevin McCarthy read the resolution.
House will be in order.
The censure, which amounts to a public reprimand, directs the House Ethics Committee to look into Schiff's actions during investigations he participated in.
This chamber, where slavery was abolished, where Medicare and Social Security and everything were instituted, they've turned it into a puppet show. The puppeteer, Donald Trump, is shining a light on the strings.
In another matter before the House, Republican Congressman Lauren Boebert has introduced articles of impeachment against President Biden for his handling of immigration along the southern border. Speaker McCarthy has said the proposed impeachment could discredit ongoing investigations by House Republicans into the Biden administration. McCarthy said he will instead refer Boebert's resolution to the House Homeland Security and Judiciary Committees for consideration instead of forcing a vote on the House floor.
We have to make the case to make the indictment. You don't just put something on the floor and say, okay, impeach somebody. This is one of the most serious things you can do as a member of Congress.
Lindsay Watts, ABC News, Washington.
You know, millions of Americans suffer chronic pain. It can have a huge impact on quality of life, careers, and mental health. Here's more with a chiropractor on 3 ways to ease those aches and pains.
From exercising to sitting at a desk for long periods or just carrying around tension and stress, our bodies bear the brunt of everything we do.
I've just noticed that there's a way increased amount of just normal aches and pains.
Cleveland Clinic chiropractor Andrew Bang says there are 3 simple ways to ease common aches and pains. First, try heat.
You can use a heating pad. You can use those rice socks to heat up in the microwave.
Second, gently stretch muscles that get tight. He says to start with a long stretch, holding it for 1 minute, then ease yourself into 2-minute stretches on each tight muscle group.
Lots of us fall into that stretching for 5 to 10 seconds, thinking that's sufficient. It feels good, but it's not enough time on the muscle to get it to relax completely.
Bang says people who are sedentary may have muscles that are too loose.
As you're sitting, you're actually stretching some muscles like your glutes, your buttocks. And oftentimes you're stretching your low back muscles too much and even your neck as you stoop forward to look down at your keyboard, papers, and your computer screen.
To tighten muscles, Bang says his third tip is to do isometric exercises.
That's essentially squeezing a muscle tight together, and that will shunt blood through the area. It will cause metabolites that build up inside. Those chemicals that cause pain inside the muscle groups. Kind of force them out as you squeeze.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
I was trying that out. You know, we should do that here more often than stretch around, because we sit down all day long. No, we don't. We're actually very busy. Folks, we got a live picture from Port Lavaca. Yes, there's the harbor right there. You can see it. You can also see the clouds left over from the storm last night. I don't know if you got any rain. We got about 1/10 of an inch here in the downtown area. But that's pretty much gone. And yeah, the heat is back. We'll be talking about that. And of course, taking a look at the Atlantic for the tropical activity. All that coming up in just a moment. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Obviously, last night was pretty exciting with the thunder and lightning that came through, but it didn't last very long, and it's not the end of anything. Right now, we're looking at 95 degrees, feels like 105. You know that. The chances for any change is still very long a ways off, probably 10, 11 days. So I'm thinking it's about 4th of July when we'll see a pattern change. So we'll wait until then. Meanwhile, it's just hot. Look at these temperatures. These are the observed highs. This is the actual temperature throughout all of West Texas, well into the hundreds. San Angelo coming in at 105. This is what we're forecasting for tomorrow. So for us, we'll actually get it up. There was a break. Our high today was 95, and tomorrow will be 98. So the clouds sort of helped out, but not much. The heat wave is caused, of course, by that dome of high pressure on top of us. That's keeping everything. Now, what I'm gambling on here is that the center of it, when it's on top of you, well, sends everything around. But the center is moving back over here like to El Paso, and that's why we're seeing these clouds come from the northwest down into our area. These are the ones that propelled the storms last night and how they moved down into the region and then sort of fell apart as they got to the coast. But that's where the activity was. We're at the dry line, produced all that stormy weather. Now there's a little bit of a change here. Now it's not much. I'm grasping for straws. While we're still going to be oppressive tomorrow and probably Friday, it's going to be hot and drier. Notice that. Still hot, but a little bit drier as we get into the early part of next week. And then all eyes are on watching and waiting for that big dome to actually move. If you're under it, it's very light winds and very hot, oppressive weather. But as it moves back over to the southwest, it's going to give us that north wind aloft, and it'll bring us some of those thunder showers and lessen the amount of air pressure on top of us. So now let's go to the tropics. It's very interesting. They said it wouldn't happen, but it did. Now we're looking at a lot of tropical activity, and I'll bet all those predictions from the beginning of the year are going to be rewritten very soon. Now here's the Lesser Antilles right about there. There's Tropical Storm Brett. The good news, it's a tropical storm. The bad news, it's going to be raining and there's going to be flooding and it'll be 65-mile-an-hour winds, but it's not a hurricane. And the interesting part, here's Brett. Here's what might be Cindy, and then there's two other things that are sort of spinning around right there as depressions that we're watching very carefully. They could become named. But the important part is that as Brett crosses over the Lesser Antilles, you'd think that it would be over the warm Caribbean waters, but it's not going to strengthen. In fact, it's going to fall apart in about 3, maybe 2 days over the weekend. Just as an open wave and some stormy weather. And why? Well, here's the storms. I'll show you why. Because the winds aloft over the eastern United States are coming down like this and then going back up like this. So the storm's going this way and the winds are opposing it. So that's called a shear, and that's why it's expected to fall apart. Not even going to be a problem for Central America. So let's take a look at your forecast. For those of you in La Vaca, getting up to 93 tomorrow, not bad. And then for those of you in Cuero, we're getting up to about a 98 because you're farther inland. And for the rest of us, well, whatever you're doing to stay cool, we got to keep doing that, folks, because it's still hot and steamy with the heat index hovering at around 115 to 118 during the afternoons all the way through the weekend. That's your 7-day forecast. We have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that, put it on your phone, and then we can go with you wherever you want to go. That is your forecast, and we'll toss it back to James.
All right, Mac, thank you so much. Coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at your stocks. Plus, the price of orange juice may be going up. The Dow down 5 points, the S&P 500 gaining 16 points, the Nasdaq up 128 points. Oil down $3.08, closing at $69.45 a barrel. Get ready to spend more on your morning glass of orange juice. Weather events in Florida dating back to a freeze in January of 2022 and last year's Hurricane Ian are now showing up in a much smaller crop of oranges. Production is down about 60%, and the experts say that'll likely mean higher prices. I was thinking about a cup of joe. Stay with us. We'll talk weather one more time with Mac. Also, some firefighters saved 10 ducklings from a storm drain. We want to invite you to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, and Android TV, and on your cell phone, search Crossroads Today Plus. Time for a dose of warm and fuzzy. Firefighters saved the day in Ohio when 10 ducklings fell into a storm sewer and got stuck. The crew from the Middlefield Fire Department rescued the ducklings. The department shared this photo of them being reunited with their mother. They were probably too busy for the video, huh? But that's the winning shot.
It's always so cute when they all follow their mother in line. You know?
That's nice. And then they'll get up on the curb or fall down the curb.
Yeah, how do they know how to follow the line?
It's probably too hot. They were looking for shade, maybe.
I imagine they were. It's just when they've got through the grates, no, it's going to be hard getting them out.
Yeah.
So hopefully, you know, in Denver, there's an amphitheater.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those outdoor scenery.
Yeah.
And they were having a country concert, and a huge hailstorm came through.
No.
A bunch of people got hit on the head. About 90 people had to go, you know.
Oh yeah, I think it's in one of the later shows.
Yeah,
it happened
it's
recently.
treated.
Yeah,
So it was
gotcha.
last night as everybody's getting some sort of weird weather. For you guys, it's still lollipop weather. You grab one and try and stay cool. There's not a lot of change in our pattern through the next 7 days. 98, today was 95, tomorrow will be 98. Of course, it was 95. That's our cooling trend.
You said lollipop, you mean popsicle.
Oh, popsicle weather, yeah, that's probably better. Or as we like to say, a snow cone kind of day.
Yeah, your lollipop might melt.
We used to call them raspas.
Yes,
remember that?
raspas, absolutely.
So you need some ice to cool down.
Get that snow cone. Thank you, Mac.
bet.
We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6. World News Tonight is up next.